Hello, I'm Matt Stevens and welcome to round 5 of the KISS Super League, the first ever esports league to feature professional cycling teams, with all of the action held exclusively on Zwift. Now this is round 5 of 10 weeks of racing, where some of the best professional riders will race head to head against themselves and also some of the finest riders taken from the Zwift community. Now the league itself comprises of 15 teams. There are 4 Pro Conti teams, 9 Continental teams, and then 2 teams, as I mentioned before, from the Zwift community. And believe you me, they are very, very competitive riders indeed. Now, the racing takes place, of course, within Zwift on various circuits, and in its most traditional sense, it is, of course, first across the line that wins each race, but the overarching importance of the KISS Super League is the accumulation of points. So the higher up you finish your riders within each race, the more points you accumulate. And basically the team with the most points at the end of the 10 weeks wins the KISS Super League. Combined, of course, with strength, strategy is absolutely key. And over the last few weeks, it's been really interesting to see how the professional riders have adapted to using things like power-ups and how they actually draft within the peloton on Zwift. Now, before we look at what's in store for the riders this week, let's have a look at round 4. It was an absolute humdinger of a race held in New York on the reverse Gotham grind course.
Nobody can hold on to John Mould's wheels as John Mould takes down round number 4 of the KISS Super League. Madison Genesis shows us again how it's done.
So let's have a quick look at the top 10 from last week. There we go. John Mould takes his second win in the series so far. That man is really on fire. Caden Groves in second place for SEG Racing Academy. Alex West there in third for the Zwift Academy Dream Team. Then in fourth place we have Jay Walker of Madison Genesis, just ahead of his teammate and the national British road champion Connor Swift. Then we have Ollie Jones of the Zwift Academy Dream Team. Ian Bibby, the winner of round 1, of course. Then we have Dan Bigham, Cy Wilson and Luca Mazzato of Dimension Data rounding out the top 10. Now in terms of the team classification, unsurprisingly, it is Madison Genesis top of the rankings with quite incredible 197 points. But remember, we still have 6 rounds to go. Lots could change. Zwift All-Stars there in second with 136. And then, well, just behind them, the Zwift Academy Dream Team, 113 points, closely followed by one of the most aggressive teams on the circuit so far, Ribble Pro Cycling, with 98. Yesterday saw the first round of the inaugural Women's KISS Super League take place in Koblenz, Germany, at the home of Canyon Bikes. And in attendance, in front of a rather enthusiastic and large studio audience, were 4 members of the Canyon SRAM team as well. Now this was round 1 of a series of 8 races featuring 7 professional women's teams and 2 teams drawn from the Zwift community. And the first race was held on the fast and furious Watopia flat course, featuring 3 laps totaling 30.6 kilometres. Now, it was a quite incredible spectacle from the off. Really, really fast paced. Several of the pros were dropped early on, as you'd expect. And I think it's going to take a while for some of the professionals, as in the men's racing, to get used to using the power-ups and the drafting. But we saw some big attacks, we saw some splits, and we saw a drastically reduced peloton by about half distance. But going into the final lap, or during the final lap, should I say, we saw a breakaway go clear of about 4 or 5 riders. In the mix was Natalie Elkund of the Zwift Academy Dream Team, also Louise Huback of the Zwift All-Stars, and Ella Harris of Canyon SRAM, who was obviously riding in the venue itself. But in the end, in the last couple of Ks, it was pretty clear that this breakaway was not going to be caught, and using a sharp and well-timed sprint, it was the Dane Huback who took the win for the Zwift All-Stars, just ahead of Simone Bollard of Show Air 2020, with Canyon SRAM's Ella Harris almost bringing the house down in front of that crowd in third place for Canyon SRAM. So we'll just go over the top 10 again for you. There we go. That is the rankings. Louise Huback of Denmark, Zwift All-Stars, took the win in the first ever event. Canada's Simone Bollard was second from Show Air 2020. The aforementioned Ella Harris in third. Then in fourth place, a clutch, of course, of Zwift All-Stars riders. Sharon Bird was fourth. Vicky Whitelaw was fifth. The Zwift All-Stars, unsurprisingly, packing their riders right at the top. Natalie Elkund of Sweden and the Zwift Academy All-Stars was there as well in sixth place. Amanda Coker, seventh. Helen McKay of the Dream Team in eighth. Britt Mason of the Zwift All-Stars meaning that 4 riders from the Zwift All-Stars were in the top 10. And rounding out the top 10 was Lee Ann Ganzer of the Hagens Bermans Supermint team. So, the first rankings for the team, the all-important team rankings, is as follows. Unsurprisingly, Zwift All-Stars top the ranking with 54 points. Show Air 2020, a really good showing from that team, in second at the moment with 38. Then we have Canyon SRAM with 31 points. Fourth, Hagens Berman Supermint with 23. Zwift Academy there with 21 points. Then we have Dolcini Van Eyck in 6th, Valkar Silence in 7th, and WNT Rota in 8th. Make sure you watch next week's event, round 2, on Tuesday. Right then, let's have a look at what is in store for the riders today. In round 5, we're taking a trip to Richmond, Virginia, to the course where the 2015 UCI World Road Championships took place. Remember that? A spectacular week's racing where Lizzie Deignan took out the elite women's, and of course we had that wonderful solo win by Peter Sagan. Will we have a breakaway? Will we have a solo win this time? Or will it come down to another bunch sprint? Only time will tell. Now the course itself is just 2 laps, a slightly longer course in terms of lap distance, totaling 32.4 Ks. That's just a shade over 20 miles, with an elevation of 314 metres or just over 1,000 feet. This is a real Belgian classic sort of course. It's really going to suit the riders with that explosive power. We call them puncheurs, and there's a few of those on Zwift, I can tell you that. Now, the first section of the lap is pretty flat and very, very fast, allowing riders to sit in the wheels, use that draft, save energy. But the second part of each lap is punctuated by 3 ferociously steep, if I can get my words out, short climbs. Now the first of which is Libby's Hill. Remember the crowds of Libby's Hill a few years back? The hairpin bends, cobbles as well, but it's only about 400 metres long. They then crest the top of that climb, then they have a fast descent, then onto more cobbles on the climb of 23rd Street. Now this climb, of course, was the location, the scene for that amazing, audacious attack of Peter Sagan back in 2015, and would definitely provide opportunities for riders wanting to go on a solo break in this race. Now, after the climb of 23rd Street, they drop down, and then there's a long, really tough, strength-sapping drag to the finish line on East Broad Street. Now, based on what I've seen so far in the KISS Super League, and based on this course, I'm expecting another fast, very, very aggressive race. But remember, this course, only 2 laps, so in total, just 6 climbs. So the ascent of each of these particular climbs is going to be even more crucial. But I expect every ascent of Libby's Hill, 23rd Street, Broad Street to the finish line, I think there's going to be some big attacks. I'm not too sure this one's going to come down to a bunch sprint, but hey, only time will tell. Can John Mould make it an incredible hat-trick? Nathan, over to you. I cannot wait.
Thanks a lot, Matt, and welcome everybody to Richmond. I'm Nathan Garrett, providing commentary for you on the race today. Race number 5 of the KISS Super League. We're over in the pens getting ready to go. We've got almost 60 riders from pro teams all over the world, as well as 2 community teams obviously out there competing out on the world of Richmond today. And it looks like we are off and getting going from the get-go. The starts are always fast and furious out on Zwift, and heading toward the front end, it does look like we do have the all-stars here. Lionel Villassen here now with 165 beats per minute right now. As always, for everybody watching the races, if you are new to the world of Zwift racing, always keep an eye up on the upper left-hand side of the screen where you can see the watts that the riders are currently putting out. As we're seeing a rider from Team Cofidis here, 168 beats per minute, and the wattage they are currently putting out 500 watts. That is the rider highlighted on the right-hand side of the screen. Their data is in the upper left-hand side of the screen for their watts, their heart rate, or RPMs at this moment. The Team Cofidis rider Lefay here with 5.7 watts per kilogram. You can see on the right-hand side of the screen where it's highlighted as well. Throughout the entirety of the race, you will be able to see in the upper left-hand side of the screen the course profile, the course that they are currently on in the mini map. There you will also be able to see the sprint banner points. You can see the little green markers. We're having 2 sprints as well as 2 KOMs. You can see the KOMs later on Richmond. If you're familiar with the course, we did see the course preview prior to the race start here, but we will be having those 2 sprints that they will be competing for the sprint competition each lap, so there will be a total of 4 sprints. We will also be having 2 KOMs out there as well, in succession of each other. Libby Hill, followed up by the strong puncher that is the 23rd Street. The riders now, after the initial start of this race here, usually out on the Richmond course, we do have that right-hand turn out of the pens, and then things tend to calm down a little bit for those who have made the initial break or the initial main peloton, main pack out on course here. There's going to be a left-hand turn now. And we'll be taking a right-hand turn in a moment here onto a little bit of an uphill gradient. We do have a picture here of Madison Genesis live right now from the ice. I believe it is the ice bike convention over there. So Madison Genesis here now hammering away. We're looking at, it looks like Connor Zwift a moment ago there was on screen for the rider that we did have highlighted just a moment ago. John Mould here right in the center of the picture-in-picture there, as you can see, looking smiley and not working extremely hard just as of yet. So it looks like the pack is taking it pretty chill at this point. It's just a solid 5.0 watts per kilogram, as these boys got plenty of power here. So we're going to see if John can pull off another W. He's had some solid sprints out here on the KISS Super League so far, but there's also the reality that this is a very different type of race out here today. We do have the flatter section of the course that we are seeing right now as we do look at the Virtus Pro Cycling team member right now, 6.0 watts per kilogram on the screen for us. And this little bit of an uphill is going to head into a flatter section of the course that is known as the sprint sections out on the Richmond course here. So going to calm down quite a bit, but as you can see, the heart rates are definitely not calming down at this point. It's 186 beats per minute right now. The Virtus Pro Cycling team here is definitely working hard here with 4.7 watts per kilogram. We got 29.5 kilometers to go yet, 2.9 in total for the day. 322 up at the top. So at all times, if you look at the top of the screen there, you can see the current speed at which the rider is riding at the moment there, as well as the duration that has been done for the time, as well as the kilometers total that they have completed here. 4.4 watts per kilogram currently coming from the rider in 10th place right now as they head into the first sprint banner that will be at 3.9 kilometers total. So less than a K to go to the first sprint banner at this point as they travel along at 46 kilometers per hour. We're heading to the front here for the Dream Team with Guveris now coming out of South Africa here. The Dream Team, the Zwift Academy Dream Team, actually a community team that's been pulled from the Zwift Academy. That every year out on Zwift we do have the Zwift Academy, which is a talent search out on Zwift competition where one rider is able to grab a pro contract with Team Dimension data for Quebec. And so this Dream Team, though, is a team that's been selected from those who were finalists in the Zwift Academy from last year. We are heading into the sprint here in just a moment now as we do see them take the left-hand turn. Big winding 180 degrees in just a moment here, and we're going to have about 400 meters to go to the first sprint competition. And off the front there, it looked like Hagens Berman there in the blue and black kit now. Blue, black, and white off the front there, and it looks like Hagens Berman Draxian now 9.4 watts per kilogram, but it's Bjorsen here for the Zwift All-Stars using an aero power-up. That is a gigantic commitment, actually, of one of the most precious commodities that you can find out on Zwift. An aero power-up being the strongest power-up you can absolutely get as they head into the sprint banner for the first sprint for the KISS Super League here. It will be Bjorsen with that W in the sprint competition. Now, there will be a very quick turnaround to the next sprint section at 7.3 kilometers in here. So each lap, very quickly on the flatter sections of the course here, up on what I would call the top sections of the Richmond course, before they head on over to Libby Hill, we're going to have 2 sprints quickly in succession of each other here. So 7.3 kilometers is not far off, as Bjorsen did have a little bit of a gap there. Doesn't seem to want to really take advantage of that gap that he got there, and it looks like he's going to jump right onto the wheels of Team Ribble there, as well as Madison Genesis coming right on through with Connor Zwift reigning UK National Road Race champion there. Vitus Pearl now making their way to the front, as you can see. Team Dimension for Quebec coming on by. It looks like Machakri here as well. Team Wiggins making their way to the front. Looks like still involved. Matthew Joujon there coming from the All-Stars now, sitting on the wheel of Lionel V. Austin there, as the All-Stars seem to be trying to take over the middle of the pack here. We are seeing on the left-hand side, it looks like another couple of Madison Genesis boys now making their way up the left-hand side of the screen. It does look like it is going to be an arrow power-up, though, being thrown down by one of the Team Dimension for Quebec riders, and this may be a little bit of an attack onto this next section of the course, and it is definitely an attack here, as it is going to be Battistella now making an attack for Quebec. Team Dimension for Quebec, and now 8 watts per kilometer, 9 watts per kilometer before they even hit the next sprint section at 5.7 kilometers in. Just 6 minutes into the race now, already 182, 183 beats per minute, and it is going to be Rivard here now from Hagens Berman now with the drafting power up, jumping right onto the wheel, it looks like, now taking the lead of this attack. We're going to see if they can hold on to this. They're going to be heading into a flatter and even downhill section of the course here in just a moment. It can be very difficult to hold on to this gap if there is any organization amongst the pack. It looks like Battistella now backing off the pedals a little bit. It's going to allow Hagens Bergman to solo attack to go off the front here. 6 watts per kilometer, 193 beats per minute. Going to be a difficult hold. This may be just for the sprint points. Perhaps, though, if they let him get away here, that may calm down in the pack, and we'll see if he can hold on to this kind of an effort, though, all the way into Libby. Going to be a very difficult solo attack here, but it looks like they've shown up to try and maybe use some team tactics to maybe soften up the legs of a few of the riders in the pack that will have to make the chase. But those are familiar with the Zwift racing, the pack definitely works very well in order to increase the speed just by coming around the rider that's in the front there with just 4 or 5 watts, even 6 watts per kilogram to the front. It takes all that speed that the rider has from behind into the front of the pack there, and it continues to push forward that chase there. The second sprint is coming up, and it looks like it's going to be Moldy here now coming to the front. 5-6 watts per kilogram from Madison Genesis now taking over the front end of the pack. So Mold here leading things out, 4.7 watts per kilogram as they head into the last half a K into this next sprint. Who is going to take it here? Who is setting up? It looks like things are fairly calm. Not a whole lot of interest at this point that I can see for anybody to make an attack off the front to try and take this sprint just yet. It is going to be Alex West with the Zwift Academy Dream Team taking on the front end of the pack now, but it is SEG Racing that we're looking at, 4.4 watts per kilogram. Not really too interested, it looks like, SEG Racing to try and make any moves in this sprint section, most likely waiting for what is going to be the toughest part of each lap. That is going to be Libby Hill, and immediately right on into 23rd Street. Off the front, though, immediately there's an attack again from Madison Genesis. The All-Stars going now. Vyastin there looks like he is definitely interested in taking down this sprint competition. Looks like Matthew Joujon now not really interested, obviously, in chasing him down, but maybe just going to take the second place there in the sprints. But no, see, Sheriffs here from Team Ribble is the one who does take down second. Looks like followed by Moldy, perhaps, and then it is going to be Connor Swift from Madison Genesis following him up that I can see. Vyastin there taking down that second sprint, 2 for 2 for the All-Stars in the sprint competition. John Mold now making his way to the front, though, and it looks like a little bit of a gap there for him. On this section, of course, with the downhill heading into the industrial park, not going to be a whole lot of attacks that will have a high chance of getting away, as it is high speeds, and the packs traveling downhill, just like in real life, have a huge advantage against any kind of a breakaway as they come screaming down that section of the course in a moment here that is going to be a negative 8-9% gradient, and definitely difficult to get away as they head into the industrial park. Usually a lull does take place at this section of the course out on Richmond. We'll see if there are any cheeky attacks to try and get off the front. There are a couple of riders that have fallen off at this point, so if we do look toward the back end of the pack, C. Jones there, 4.5 watts per kilogram from him, but not able to get back on about 25 seconds off the back. So it does look like we have lost quite a few riders already It's going to be Cofidis as well as Vitus Pro, presented by, it looks like here, unable to hang on. Hincapie as well off the back there, it looks like, with a few of their riders. So definitely some splits at this point with 23.1 kilometers remaining. We're looking at SEG Racing with Stavrakia is here now at 167 beats per minute and 313 watts right now. Pretty chill, 3.5 watts per kilogram coming from him. Not a whole lot to try and chase down at this point, as this is most definitely a section that is difficult to get away. A couple of recoveries most likely from the initial sprints as they're heading into the all-out climb that's going to be happening here up over top of the cobbles in just a moment there. There's SEG Racing in the upper right-hand corner of the screen, as you can see, hammering away here. We were calling it the esports training center that we see there from SEG on those Neos there. As you can see the tax branding in the background there. Obviously, they may be feeling the cobbles there, as those Neos do have some real-world feel that they are able to turn on if they want to. A lot of times, the Neo, if you do want to put that on in the settings in Zwift, it's a cool little add-on that you can use with those trainers to get some more real-world feel, to feel the cobbles as you do go up. And wonder if they do have that turned on so they get a little extra pushback as they do head up over the top of Libby Hill in a moment here. Now, they will be feeling also, obviously, the gradients that we do see on screen in the mini-map when it is there. They will be feeling those gradients on those uphill sections because they are on smart trainers. For those of you unfamiliar with how that works with Zwift, the gradients, if you do have a smart trainer, are pushed back into your drivetrain so that you do feel what it would feel like in real life to climb any of the climbs out there. A little bit of an undulation here, as you can see, as we do see Stavrakakis there hammering away there at 170 beats per minute now at 3.8 watts per kilogram. These little undulations, not really too much to be worried about here between the riders, but it is a little bit of a kick that they do have to throw down before they head into Libby here in a second now. But definitely calm down a little bit as we are looking at the 41st rider out on course here from SEG Racing. Looking back, it looks like we most likely have about 45 or so left in the main pack. The time gaps, from what I can see, have opened up to about 125 back to Seth Jones from Hincapie is the first rider making the main chase now. Along with it is Filipino 14. So, but it is going to be 40 riders that have made the lead group at this point as they head into the first climb here in just a moment now. Toward the front end of the pack, we are seeing a couple of riders from Madison Genesis starting to set up. Being the current leaders of the series, they've got a lot on the line right now to try and prove that they won't just take down the sprints. It's also, obviously, we did see on the Volcano After Party in round one, Ian Bibby able to take down the W here. We'll see if it's going to be a similar situation where he may be the climber on that team to try and take this down. So we do have 3 climbs in succession of each other out on this course. We've got Libby Hill into 23rd Street and then the Governor Street climb for the finish on the second lap. So it'll be interesting to see if it's going to change roles at all as far as who's going to try and take the W there for Madison Genesis. But I have a feeling a couple of the other teams here maybe chomping at the bit a little bit to get into those podium spots there. It is the Zwift Academy Dream Team as well as the All-Stars who are holding down second and third place. We'll see if Team Ribble or any of the other pro teams out there that are showing up can make something happen to try and take down a W out there today. But now as we are looking at Rivard here from Hoggins Berman now, and now making their way to the front there, Alex West, 8.5 watts per kilogram as we start Libby Hill for the first time, 9% gradient in the upper right corner. This is a battle for the KOM. There are points on the line for the King of the Mountain. Competitioners with main pack making their way over the top. Libby for the first time. ZA Dream Team taking over the front end of this group 9. Alex West, the Kiwi here, followed up by his teammate in real life, former teammate in real life as well, Ollie Jones, winner of the 2017 Zwift Academy, making his way to the front as well. And now Ollie taking over the lead here. Walker, though, as we see Walker now from Madison Genesis, now 10 watts per kilogram. Madison Genesis now in the middle of the screen there with Mold as well as Swift now making the way. The All-Stars, though, taking over the front now as Vyazin here also wants to take this competition down. The KOM going to Lionel looks like, followed very closely by Walker. It looked like it might have been Walker by a wheel length, just ahead of Alex West from the Zwift Academy Dream Team as we take that left-hand turn over toward 23rd Street. Now, there is not a whole lot of reprieve at this point. Lionel, interestingly, used another arrow power-up. For those of you unfamiliar with power-ups, you collect them through every banner you go under. So Lionel taking a risk here, rolling the dice a little bit. As we say in the gaming world, the random numbers game, the RNG, might be in his favor here today, as we've already seen him use 2 arrow power-ups, being the strongest power-up in the world of Zwift. The arrow power-up reducing the drag on your avatar greatly by 30 seconds. That is an amazing, like, a huge dice roll for him that he was able to get extremely lucky there to pick up 2. Now it's heading into the 23rd Street climb. We're going to see a right-hand turn here in just a moment, and as we hit this, it's going to be about a 15 to 20 second climb. Everything you got, I expect to see up into 11, 12 watts per kilogram. There it is, 12 watts per kilogram from Lionel now kicking through. Adam Zimmerman, though, probably one of the lightest riders out on course right now, racing at elevation out in Colorado here. Zimmerman for the All-Stars now, killing it on the front, but no, it's going to be Lionel again going for the KOM competition now. And now we've lost the front end of the pack for just a moment here. We'll see if we can get back with them, but it is Guveris we're looking at there for a second as they head under the KISS banner. We'll have to wait and see what the results there for the King of the Mountain. It looks like it was Lionel again coming out of Belgium, taking it down for the All-Stars, winning each sprint competition, winning each of the KOMs. Is he also going to go for the W and make a break happen here with Connor Swift and Madison Genesis countering now, it looks like. Carpenter coming through as well, it looks like. Joey Walker's there as well, it looks like, for Madison Genesis. Ian Bibby going now as well, and it looks like this was set up perfectly by Madison Genesis to counter after the 2 climbs, initial climbs, the 2 KOMs. Perhaps this was the plan all along for Madison Genesis to try and make some sort of a move through this section now. But now we're looking through here as it's DHB Blorhooms now making the way toward the front. It looks like here for the KOM now, Lionel now followed up by Mold, and then Alex West, and then Joey Walker. That's your top 4 for the KOM results. I believe after the first climb up over the top. Olivia will wait for the second one as it does come through in just a moment here with an update on the back end there with the points there. But now it looks like we're looking at 10th place currently here with Lionel. We're jumping around a little bit today here, so we'll see if we can get in with the riders with a consistent connection here in just a moment here. But the sprint lap results here coming up in just a second here as well. Sykes here, though, come from Oliver's Racing. 31 seconds off the back, and as we can see the damage that has been done from the 2 KOMs in succession like that. It pushes you way up and over the top of your VO2 max, pushes your heart rate just absolutely skyrocketing over the top of your threshold, and then needs to come on back down, though, as best as you possibly can after those sections, because Governor Street is no joke as we climb up and over the top toward the first time through the lap/finish banner. It is going to be led out by Joey Walker here from, it looks like, Madison Genesis. Lionel Vyazin now trying to, it looks like, make a move as well up into 8 watts per kilogram here. Healy from Wiggins Lacole now also there, and then it's going to be the Dream Team there, Ollie Jones leading things out at the front. So ZA Dream Team now, 6.7 watts per kilogram. Ollie Jones, 183 beats per minute in upper left-hand corner, it looks like here. This is the break now that is starting to form up over the top of Governor Street, as we do see power-ups being thrown down left and right here. On the right-hand side of the screen, you do see an All-Star. They're actually using an arrow power-up. Interesting to see an arrow power-up there being used, it looks like, by Adam Zimmerman, actually, which means if Adam Zimmerman is using that now, he's in a world of hurt right now, as that is something you most definitely want to save up for a final sprint. So that tells me that this pace has been absolutely incessant up until this point. We do see a little bit of a gap. It looks like it's about 10 seconds back to Justin Pierre-Ficati, who did win a race in a live event, actually. Worst live events ever. It looks like Pierre-Ficati a little ways back at this point, leading things out, it looks like, with Almeida Chorkry here from Team Dimension Data for Quebec, as well as Maximilian Stedman. That's the break. That's the current chase group trying to bring back this break that we are looking at right now as they head under the first time underneath the lap banner. Now looking through here now at 8th place now, it looks like it is going to be Ollie Jones holding down at 181 beats per minute. We're going to be heading on over to Matt Stevens here, though, for just a little bit of look at what's happened so far. this race.
Well, Nathan, what an extraordinary start. We knew that these climbs would be really damaging. We saw a little bit of a lull after those very, very, very early sprints. Then we saw a lull, but the damage was done on the first descent of Libby's, and then on the next climb of 23rd Street. Exactly the kind of racing that I expected. Some big, big numbers, and the class has really risen to the top. We've got John Mould in there, we've got Connor Swift, we've got Alex West. It's a superstar group of riders. The question is there going to be enough organisation? Is there going to be enough cohesion? Is there going to be enough cohesion behind to try and bring that breakaway back? Because at the moment, it looks to me as if Madison Genesis are using the National Road Champion to try and make sure that breakaway stays clear. Remember, this is only 2 laps. Each lap, 16.2k, 1 lap to go. And remember, 3 climbs. I think we could have a small breakaway, stay away to the finish today, but I think it's going to suit something that can go very, very long. This isn't a pure sprinter's day at all. Fascinating stuff, but this is an elite group that's moving clear now.
Thanks a lot, Matt. And it looks like, man, I think that is absolutely right on the money there as far as what is happening here with Madison Genesis, using those climbs that have put everybody way over threshold. They put everybody in the hurt locker and completely demolishing the pack from that is now trying to chase them down at this point. Now, in the front group at this point, we do have, as you said, an extremely elite group. Then it looks like it is about a 22-second gap back to the chase at this point. Adam Zimmerman from the All-Stars, Ben Healy from Team Wiggins-LaCole. We're looking at Ian Bibby there from Madison Genesis. Joey Walker's in there as well from Madison Genesis. Madison Genesis actually able to place 3 of their riders. Interesting to see, though, it looks like John Mould has not been able to make this front group from what I can see at this point. Mouldy unable to make it across into this front end group at this point. So they do have those still. Ian Bibby, Joey Walker, as well as Connor Swift right now. It looks like Connor Brown also from Team Dimension for Quebeca. The Zwift All-Stars with Adam Zimmerman, Lionel Villassen, and Matthew Drujon. Drujon being involved in this is a serious threat. This is his kind of course there, I think, as well, with that climb into a sprint at the finish there. Very, very interesting to see that they have made 3 into this front group. Looking at those live shots there from Ice Bike now, we are seeing Mould on the right-hand side. We've got Joey Walker chatting a little bit over to Ian as well, it looks like there. Definitely a little bit of chatter there, chatting about what is the next tactic there. It doesn't look like they've been very interested in the sprint competition. I think that the reality for Madison Genesis today is that they're in it to win the overall. We are on the final lap now. Final lap out here on the KISS Super League, race number 5, and it is going to be Team Dimension for Quebec, Madison Genesis, the Zwift Academy Dream Team, the Zwift All-Stars, Team Wiggins for LaCole, as well as Vitus Pro Cycling involved in this breakaway now. Sprint number 3 is coming up here in just a second, and we have seen the All-Stars absolutely dominating the sprint so far, with Lionel Villassen taking the first 2, as well as the KOMs out there, it looked like. Lionel out of Belgium here for the All-Stars, just taking absolutely the pull by the horns and taking down the competitions out here in the middle of this race. Now, I wonder if he's going to have anything left for the W as well, as he has made this front group now. It looks like with 10 points right now. Chris Sheriff's there with 5, it looks like, for second place. It looks like Mikey Motram there with 3, and Matthew Jujan for 2, and John Mould with 5 points, John Mould with 1 point on the day in 5th place, as you can see. John, though, off the back here at this point, I believe, and unable to make this front group as the KOMs have absolutely demolished a lot of the riders out there, with only, it looks like, 10 riders still involved in this front group from what we can see out on course. Well, 11, excuse me, we're looking at 11th place or so, though, so we'll see how the on-screen graphics do change up there a little bit there, as we're looking at 4th place. Now up into 2nd there, just going to be Connor Swift there, making his way to the front to control things at 4.5 watts per kilogram. Be interesting to see what kind of roles do play out, who's going to be the ones to try and take down the W up and over the top of the Governor Street, as we do look forward toward the final case in just a moment here. But it is going to be the next sprint now starting up here as we head into the about 300 meters to go, and it is Villassen here in the the sprint jersey that he's earned out on course by taking down those sprints, as well as the KOM. He's got a double jersey going on right now that you can get awarded in the game. If you do have the fastest times through those sections, the game does give you those, as you see V. Austin hammering away off the front there. Vitus Pro following up very closely there, and it looks like he's going to, the Vitus Pro cycling team member is going to be able to take down the second place, and that is going to be Tori there. Followed up by, it looked like perhaps Mold actually is involved in that front group. We lost him there for a second. It looked like on screen, so we've had a couple of riders disappearing here and there for some odd reason, but we'll see if we can stay with it here and make sure that we've got the correct calls here for you all about who has made the front groups now, as I do see John Mold is actually still involved in the front group there. So sorry about that call there, as it looks like he has definitely made the front groups. We do see him up toward the front there in the KOM jersey, actually, Moldy there. So line over Yasin there, sprint number 3 takes it down, and with a solid padding of 13 points, doesn't even need to contest the next sprint if he does not want to. Maybe just do it for pride there out there today, as we do see it is going to be Chris Sheriffs and Alistair Donahue there taking down second and third. There's still a battle for second place there out there, as you can see, for the sprint competition right now. Alex West, we're looking at now on the right-hand side, highlighted in the upper left-hand side of the screen. You can see his current wattage there at 331 watts right now in the green kits. For those of you unfamiliar with all the kits out on course, you do see it is going to be the ZA Dream Team in the green kits. Madison Genesis there in the red and dark blue. Now Team Dimension Quebeca there on the left, with Brown making his way up the left-hand side of the screen there to the front of the pack to try and take over. It looks like they're Brown now at 3.0 watts per kilogram, settling it down a little bit, calming it down before they hit this next sprint section out on course. It'll be interesting to see if we do have any contention for the next sprint, as you know, it is kind of said and done at this point. Donahoe out there, as well as Tori, perhaps going to be battling it out for the first spot, try and grab another 5 points and maybe take down the second place on the podium today. So lap number 2 that we're on to the final lap here, just 2 today, and it's going to be all about the KOMs for this front group. They are not opening up a massive gap. It is closable perhaps, 30 seconds or so back to the chase group out there. We'll have to see if that chase group can get organized there. You know, a lot of times though, with this kind of a group off the front here and the kind of talent that is amongst them and the power that is here, it might be a race for out to 15th place, it looks like, or so, for the riders that are in the chase group. And there are still points awarded all the way down to 31st place, so it's definitely still within, you know, still in their interest to take down as many points as you possibly can in those chase groups, as it is all about the team competition. It's all about the team competition in these series of races. 10 races, 8 races count toward the team overall. The front of the race that we're looking at right now, though, it is Alex West, 168 beats per minute. As you can see, upper left-hand corner, what's going to be interesting is how many power-ups have been conserved. We've seen the All-Stars using a lot of power-ups so far. I thought I saw a couple of power-ups come from the Madison Genesis boys as well. Who's going to be saving up those arrow power-ups? Because it's going to be all about the arrow power-ups in that final sprint up over the top of Governor Street. It's a steady climb, steady grind to the top of Governor Street, and then essentially you are well over threshold and still have to sprint at the end of the end of that final case. So it is one of the most difficult climbs out there out on Zwift here. Sprint number 4, here we go, as it's going to start ramping up if they do want these points, or will it be a situation where they know that it's said and done, Lionel's got the points, they know that nobody can grab this competition any longer for the first place. So the question is, are they going to just roll through, or is there going to be an actual competition for this? It does look like Ollie Jones here making his way to the front there at 4.9 watts per kilogram, followed by Healy there from Wiggins Lacole, coming out of Ireland at 177 beats per minute. There is a little bit of a kick now. Here we go. Madison Genesis, Moldy, not letting things really calm down at all as John goes to the front end of this pack. Adam Zimmerman now follows it up very quickly. Now we have a feather power up, interestingly enough, from the rider from the All-Stars. It is Adam Zimmerman on the right-hand side of the screen. Now it's Tori, though, who was going for the top spot in that sprint to try and grab 5 points, and it looks like he did so, and may be moving up into second place, solidifying that second place on the podium for the sprint competition. So that was a battle there for the sprint competition. The sprints are all done, said and done for the day. You can see in the upper right-hand side of your screen right now, the mini-map shows where the riders are on the course there, where the little green circles are there. Those were the 2 sprint competitions. They're about halfway through this second lap. As you can see, the little orange dot there just above that second sprint circle there. That is where the current rider we are looking at is. They're about to head downhill into the industrial park and head on toward Libby Hill right now. -6% grading. Things are going to calm down for sure at this point. This is very difficult to get away on a downhill, just like in real life. Alex West now, 3.6 watts per kilometer, making his way to the front there for the ZA Dream team there in the green kits. Now we do see the All-Stars there coalescing at the back there, taking over the front. It will be Brown, it looks like here, from Team Debenture for Quebec. And now Healy from Wiggins Lacole taking over the front 2, it looks like. Very chill, though, at a 4.1 watts per kilogram. These boys we've seen in the past throwing down somewhere to 5 to 6 watts per kilogram for the durations of these races. So far, I can say for sure we've got quite a few riders over 5 watts per kilogram for the duration of 31 minutes so far. So absolutely flying out here. Looking for those reprieves, though, looking for a little bit of a rest now because they know what is on its way. Libby Hill into 23rd Street. But it is Viasen there with 13 points, not having to contest that second sprint out on course there for this second lap. Alistair Donoghue, though, does take it down. Interesting to see as he's got 10 points, followed by Timothy Torrey there. So it looks like Alistair was able to throw down and take down and solidify that second place on the sprint competition there, followed up by Torrey in third. Now before we head on into Libby Hill, though, we're going to be heading on over to Matt Stevens for just a little bit more of a look at how things have gone down so far in the race and maybe some race predictions for the finish. Matt, on over to you.
Thanks very much indeed, Nathan. It's been a riveting race so far. Of course, we've got this flat section. This is one of the only points in the course where the riders can think about what's going to happen next. There's going to be a little bit of a lull, but what it does provide is happening now is the catalyst for some riders to go ahead and go early. Somebody has just launched up there. I think it's actually, looks like Healy, the Irish rider, has gone clear using a bit of a power up. Drujon from the Zwift Academy. It is Healy of Wiggins Lacole, a rider who had a few technical problems in the opening round. Clearly very, very strong. 2 riders just going clear. They've got 7 seconds already. That just shows how this part of this course can be played in 2 ways. You either go long or you back off. It's a place to conserve energy because you can lose so much on the next 2 climbs. We know how damaging the climb of Libby's Hill can be, but these 2 riders have taken a little bit of a gamble. Let's hope they've not used up too much now. But it is going to be absolutely fantastic. I'm going to hand it back to Nathan, but my prediction, I think it's going to be one of the riders from Madison Genesis doing it again. Let's find out.
Thanks a lot, Matt. Yeah, I mean, I would have to agree that it's a good bet to bet on Madison Genesis so far. Taking down 4 races so far. I mean, these guys have been absolutely demolishing things out here. So it looks like Healy here from Wiggins Lacole, the Irish rider, as you were saying, on the break there. Drujon followed it up very quickly here. They've got plenty of matches to burn with the All-Stars that are in the pack. So Viasen there sitting in, getting a free ride back up to the wheel, it looks like here. They threw Drujon, though, up ahead there with Healy just to make sure if something does get away that they at least have something involved. With so many riders in this front group, the All-Stars have a lot to work with here. It's going to be interesting to see. I think the All-Stars have been chomping at the bit, though, a little bit to try and take down that W in one of these races. They've been so close to making it happen, but Madison Genesis upsetting over and over again, showing why they're the pros out on course here, that it's not just experience and tactics of Zwift. It also takes a lot of power to try and win one of these races out here. So looking to the front end here, though, we do see it is Connor Swift there now in that UK National Champions kit, now making his way to the front, calming it down just a little bit as he works his way backwards in about 3rd or 4th position now. We do see the fastest lap out on course, it looks like, being held down by the Vitus Pro Cycling team. That is that orange kit that you do see being donned by the rider there on the right-hand side. You also have other kits on the right-hand side of the screen where the riders are highlighted. You do see a couple of other jerseys next to their names. Those mean they are currently holding the fastest times for those sections of the course. So you do see Mold there with the KOM next to his name. You do see the fastest lap on that orange jersey next to the name of the Vitus Pro Cycling. So interesting little tidbit there about the on-screen graphics of what the riders have earned for the fastest times through those sections. Starting the second time up and over the top of Libby Hill here, the third KOM competition is on its way for the day here, and it is going to be Zwift making his way to the front now. Now we do see the Dream Team, though, taking over the front in the green kit there. I believe it is going to be Alex West. Yep, it is Alex West with 8% gradient being felt into those legs with 636 watts right now. Joey Walker from Madison Genesis now taking up the third spot out on course, and then it is going to be Connor Zwift there again making his way to the front there, following the wheel with a little bit of a gap opening up between the riders here. Madison Genesis really taking over the front end of this race now, as they do have 4 in and amongst them. Ian Bibby now making his way to the front. It looks like all 4 of the Madison Genesis boys completely taking over the front end of this pack now. Joey Walker, Ian Bibby, it's Connor Zwift toward the front now, but no, the All-Stars now coming through as it is Austin unstoppable today with these KOM competitions now. 185 beats per minute over the front of this race and over the top of the KOM there, as we do see 3 kilometers to go as they head on over toward 23rd Street on this left-hand turn. A little bit of a lull, perhaps. Will there be a counter? Does anybody have anything in the tank? Madison Genesis now to the front. No, Team Dimension 4 Quebec now on the front with Brown. Is Brown going to make a little bit of a move here onto this downhill and keep the speed rolling? No, it looks like things are calming right on down, and they definitely need to with 23rd Street. I mean, this climb is just monstrous. It is very short, but it is absolutely torturous with what kind of an uphill sprint essentially that it is. At into 16-17% gradients, it really puts the sting into the legs. They head down here 72 kilometers per hour right now, 30.1 kilometers into this race. 37 minutes of racing down so far as we look at Joey Walker here at 4.3 watts per kilogram, trying to bring that heart rate down, but it's 189 beats per minute. Right-hand turn into the KOM here. Madison Genesis taking over the front. Will Austin make it a 4 for 4 though? Austin, 11 watts per kilogram at the front. The All-Stars taking over the front end of this race still with 2 kilometers to go. Everything he's got though to the King of the Mountain line. Mold though coming through. This may be about the race win though rather than the KOM banner. Now again, it is going to be, I believe, the All-Stars taking that one down. It looked like with that side camera shot, just barely able to snip that at the line there for the KOM, but it is now very quickly going to be heading into the Governor Street climb. Not a whole lot of time to gather yourself and try and find those wattages to make it over the top for that final sprint. The riders most likely are going to be trying to get a little bit of a breather, a little bit of a sigh of relief, just a moment of relief over the top of the KOM, and then next thing you know, in your face is a 5, 6, 7% gradient climb for about a minute and a half or so into a full-on sprint is what we're looking at coming at us right here at 189 beats per minute. Walker now 4.9 watts per kilogram. Madison Genesis now trying to take over the front end of this pack. Mold now, can he make it another win, another sprint out on course here in the Richmond course on this UCI course? Will he make it happen? Ian Bibby though on the front, will he be the climber that he showed us to be on the Volcano After Party in race number 1? Alex West now we're seeing from the Dream Team, 163 beats per minute. It is now Vitus Pro Cycling now making the way over to the front now the Dream Team to the front end of this pack. It looks like it's going to be Austin, Zimmerman. Is Drujan is still in there as well? The All-Stars with 3. Madison Genesis with 4 involved here. We've got 1 rider from Vitus Pro Cycling still involved in this race now for the win. Team Dimension for Quebec now in there as well. It looks like the Mold, 6.8 watts per kilogram, starting to climb strong. Not into the orange numbers, strong, but not full on attack mode just yet. Bibby though, we saw him for a moment there at the 9 watts per kilogram. The Dream Team now on the front. Now Madison Genesis taking back over. You know, it's interesting. At the front end of these climbs like that, it really is about positioning. You let somebody take over the front, and then you get a little bit concerned. And you say, no, I got to give another kick. You do not want to find yourself too far back because that 5 to 10 meters matters at the final sprint now. But now Bibby, this looks to be a serious attack from Bibby a moment ago. No, backs off the 3 though. Making sure again that he's positioned correctly for the all-out attack that it will be into the final 300 or 400 meters to the line out on this UCI Richmond course. 5% gradient as we're going to take a left-hand turn in just a moment here. We'll be looking at the finishing straight as it's Ollie Jones from the Dream Team taking over the front end of this group now. Left-hand turn here now as the group is all still together. Nobody dropping off. Carpenter on the back. Wiggins LaCole now maybe just setting up for a sprint or maybe just hanging on. The Dream Team now going. Here we go, though. It is going to be Brown, though, from Team Dimension for Quebec with a very early Aero power-up. Will they be able to get the first W of this series now? Aero power-up with, I think it's about 30 seconds to the line. This is an amazing move. 11 watts per kilogram coming from the Kiwi. Brown. Team Dimension for Quebec might be able to make it happen, but Bibby now. 13 watts per kilogram, 14 watts per kilogram. West coming through. Flying Alex West is gonna take it down, the first W for Zwift Academy Dream Team, followed up by Ian Bibby of Madison Genesis. John Mold coming through for third, it looks like. We'll have to get the replay. It looks like the Dream Team has made the dream happen today with that W out on the UCI Richmond's course. Amazing result there for Alex West. He shows us why he can climb into the sprint, that's for sure today. Ian Bibby there, I think, was really chomping at the bit to try and grab that today, but was unable to make it happen. Definitely the climber for the team out there for Madison Genesis. Ian Bibby's been showing us there. It has that kick at the end, but Alex West for the Dream Team showing us why he is on that team today. So amazing job. Looking at Hincapie BMC here, making his way to the line there on that Aero power-up. Looks like we're going to be looking at a replay here of that finish, though. Let's see how this played out. C. Brown here with that very early attack. He thought he had it. I thought he had it, but with the normal, that usual situation where the pack just comes flying down in the last 100 meters. And it was Bibby who led things out into the final 100 meters, but the ZA Dream Team with that Alex West, huge wattage and crazy speed coming on through in that last 100 meters, was able to come right on by Bibby with just the right kick into the last 100 meters there. So Alex West, 14 watts per kilometer, as you can see there, must have been doing 60 kilometers per hour with that Aero power up and able to take it down there for the W. Bibby there, it looks like, coming through for second, just barely coming by. Brown was trying to hold on to that third place, but just got nipped right at the line. Alex West followed up by Ian Bibby by 0.2 of a second. John Mold actually takes it down for third place there, 1 second back. Connor Brown now fourth place there. Looks like Timothy Torrey, and then Connor Swifter sixth. Matthew Jujan is seventh, and it's Joey Walker in eighth. Ollie Jones brings it in for the Zwift Academy Dream Team in ninth. Lino Viasen, 10th place, even after taking down all of those competitions on the day for the KOMs and the sprint. Let's head on over to Matt Stevens for a little bit of after-race commentary. And so, looks like we are waiting on Matt. We've lost Matt for just a second there on his mic. I believe we're having just a couple of technical difficulties. Everybody, sorry about that. So we're just going to hang out here for just a moment here on round 5 final results. We can celebrate a little bit longer here about Alex West's amazing W out there today. So one thing to talk about, though, I think that's really impressive that I was thinking about was Lino Viasen out there today, able to still take a top 10 for the All-Stars while at the same time taking down the KOM as well as the sprints. Now, we do have a replay here of the final kilometer here. Brown, it looks like we're seeing here with the setup there, throws down that Aero power-up, 7-8 watts per kilogram from him. Very early attack. It was a good go. Maybe because not having the last 200-meter full-on kick type of sprint. We didn't see 14 watts per kilogram like that of the pure sprinters that we saw 16 just a moment there from the Madison Genesis. Ian Bibby, it looks like, perhaps. But now Brown there was able to just try and hold on 9, 10, 11 watts per kilogram. This long, drawn-out sprint, but the group comes flying on using that pack momentum. And there it is with that solid kick out of the group with an Aero power-up, way higher speeds. At the end of the day, it's not just about the watts per kilogram. It's also about the crazy amounts of speed that Peloton does is able to produce out there. So that's the replay of that final kilometer there. Amazing job there for Alex West taking it down there. Here's the top 10 for those final results again there. Alex West, Ian Bibby, John Mould, Connor Brown, Timothy Torrey, Connor Swift, Matthew Jujon, Joey Walker, Ollie Jones, Lionel Villasin there. 4-second gap between them. You know, a lot of times in these sprint situations, the gap is a lot closer between the riders. You can see, though, what the suffering, you can see in the time gaps here, the suffering that was put into the legs from those 3 climbs in succession to each other there. So Libby Hill into that 23rd Street, on over to the Governor Street, obviously making the pack sprint a lot different from what you usually see, where it's just a couple of tenths of a second between the riders here. We're seeing all the way out to 4 seconds for that top 10 here. So we're waiting for a couple more of the results here for the team results in just a moment here. That's what it's all about in the KISS Super League here for these teams showing up on each week here for the 10 races series here. It's going to be about whether or not they can try and take down Madison Genesis, as they have been doing an amazing job. Obviously, 249 points for Madison Genesis. Zwift All-Stars taking down second place here, but the Zwift Academy now really starting to creep up on there. There was a much larger gap before this finish, with the All-Stars, had a pretty hefty gap. Now Zwift Academy Dream Team there, edging within 11 points with that third place. Rebel Pole Cycling there, 106. Their Team Dimension data for Quebec there, 93 there in 5th place. Rounding out the top 10, Canyon DHB, SEG Racing Academy, as well as Team Wiggins Lacole, and Haggensbergen for Axion there in 9th, and Vitus Pro Cycling showing up on the date for 10th place here. So a lot of work to do still, but there's a lot of racing to come still. A lot of racing to come still out here on Zwift for the KISS Super League. We've got 5 races done so far. 5 races done so far. 5 more to go. 5 more to go. Amazing race out here today, out on the Richmond Worlds Course. This is one of my favorite courses, actually, and you can see exactly why. It was non-stop racing out there today. Sprint after sprint into KOM after KOM. We had an amazing breakaway out there today. A solid group of the elite riders that we've seen out there. Madison Genesis getting involved, obviously, at the front. The Dream Team, as well as the All-Stars, always showing up on week after week. A couple of more jumping in there and showing that they're out there to race there with Vitus Pro Cycling. We've also seen Team Dimension for Quebec out there. SEG was showing up on the day, but unable to make that front group. But solid racing there from all of the pros as well as the community teams. Alex West, though, for the Dream Team, as well as Ollie Jones, grabbing a lot of points out there for them today, making their way up into 3rd place. That was an amazing job. But Madison Genesis, with 4 in that front group, able to still solidify themselves with over 200 points now in the team standings. Zwift Academy All-Stars showing us exactly why they are the Zwift All-Stars, holding down that 2nd place still, though. So let's take a quick little replay here, it looks like, before we head on out. And it looks like it is going to be Brown now. There it is. That amazing attack to try and get away, but it was not going to happen as Madison Genesis comes on through to lead out, maybe not on purpose there, Alex West for the Dream Team to take it down. So amazing job for all the riders out there today. Great race. Thanks out to all the viewers out there. Make sure to hit that follow button to know anytime that we do go live. And we will see you next week for KISS Super League round number 2 with the women and round number 6 with the men. That's it for me. And as always, ride on.